So we got two things we got to do today. One thing is we got a customer miner not hashing after the switch to brains. And the reason for that is you have to switch it back to stock. We were running Vanish, and so you have to switch it back to stock firmware. And we switch it back to stock firmware. The firmware detected there's sometimes on the Bitmain products, if it sees a hash board it doesn't like, or differing hash boards, it'll set off an error code and it just won't work or connect. And so I can't connect to it. And so what I'm gonna do is we got a BeagleBones hash board, or sorry, a control board, and this is, I couldn't tell you why it's called BeagleBones, but I can tell you that's why it's called BeagleBones Black. So anyway, it's got the micro SD card slot, and so what we're gonna do is, a lot of the firmware doesn't care about the hash board type, and so if I put in the SD card slot, throw in the control board, take out the old one, it should work. It should hash on the brains firmware just fine. At least that's the thought. That's the hope, at least, and then we can get the customer hashing, and then we can just buy a control board and it'll be all good. And the other thing we got to do is we got to replace a fan, and so pretty straightforward. We got, let me grab this fan. We got these fans. If I can focus it, I really like them. They're 3 amp compared to the 2.7 amp ones that come stock, and these ones have a bit of a different design on the fan. They should move a little bit more air. I think these are rated at around 240, 250 CFM. The stock fans I think are maybe 225, 210. So these move a little bit more air, which I like. They use a little bit more power, 3 amps. I couldn't tell you, I don't have the math on top of my hand, but I like them. Around the same price, a little more air, so it should help. But so that's what we got to do today. Just swap some parts around. So we're here at the second site. I forgot to give an update on what happened with the control board swap. So what ended up happening is the BeagleBones board did not work. The problem was the hash board has, I think, it's the same hash board, it just got the wrong EEPROM loaded onto it, and so it doesn't work with the stock firmware, and it wouldn't work with brains either. So what I ended up doing is I put the old Amlogic board back in and just unplugged the bad hash board, the one that wasn't working, and obviously it's running fine with 2 hash boards, but that's what I did. But now we got you can barely see it, but we got 10 miners to throw up in the container, and we'll just knock that out. So we're back at site. We got a few more miners to throw up. I want to talk briefly about the S19 K Pro. A lot of customers have been interested. I mean, that's the new hot thing, obviously. It's really well priced, good efficiency, good hash rate. We were running brains on them, and then Bitmain came out with the high energy mode. And brains, the firmware is still in beta, so it doesn't really work too well. I think the max we were getting is like 125 terahash. For some reason you just can't get the frequency above like 600 around 609, I think. I mean, I don't know what the issue is, but they're still working on it. Obviously it's in beta. So we switched back to stock firmware. Super easy with Brains Toolbox, by the way. One of the easiest things I've used for overclocking. Just the installation is super simple. So we switched back over to the Bitmain stock firmware. I've been running high energy mode. It's a little more profitable right now. I think it's like current hash price at like 8.2 cents per terahash. It was like $17 more per month, I think, at 8 cents per kilowatt hour hosting. We've been getting 120 K Pros, have been getting 138 to 140 at around anywhere from like 3,500, and we have one OLEP at 3,800. Generally it's around 26.5 watts per terahash. 115 from the same efficiency, so they get at around like 3,400 at 132 terahash. Obviously works really well. It's stock firmware, there's no dev fees or anything. But I'm sure Brains will come out with their firmware pretty soon. But just want to talk about that. It works really well. It's great. Dog shows her support as well.